Hey HannahMouse1 here, welcome to part 16 of my Fixing Your Scratch project series, where I take the projects that you submit to me and I show you how I transform the base concept into a fully fledged game. A little while ago I posted a video where I showcased the best entries and you selected the ones that you wanted to see the most. While Potion Panic did come first in the surveys I did, I have already made a video on that one, so I decided I'd also do the one in second place as that one came quite close, and that one is Auto Muff by Ricky C65, which was a close second. Auto Muff is a game in which you would make and sell muffins, gradually earning enough to automate the process. Although the game seems fairly simple in concept, somehow the file is so big that it occasionally gets corrupted when you load the page. That surprised me given the scope of this game, and oh god, yeah, maybe this could use some optimizing. I felt like I just really needed a blank slate with this one. Sometimes I will try to reuse the sprites that a project gives me, but there was just a little bit too much going on here for me to work with, so I decided to just delete all the sprites and make my own, just so I know where everything is. One thing that I think made the original a little unintuitive to play was just how much was crammed onto a single screen. It made things really busy, and the eye never quite knew what it was meant to be drawn to at any given time, so I decided to make 4 separate pages. A computer where you can order ingredients, a page where you mix the batter, the oven where you bake the muffins, and a page where you decorate the muffins. The system behind this is actually very similar to the one I used in my previous Peekaboo remake, and I really like it because it creates this smooth slide effect between pages rather than a harsh cut. And I decided to choose a colour for each page and made each one monochrome for a bit of visual variety whilst maintaining a consistent style. For the mechanics, I started on the mixing page, creating the art for the mixing bowl and getting it to appear in the correct position based on the scroll of the page. In order to make some cake batter, you'll need 4 basic ingredients: flour, sugar, eggs and butter. So I made the art for these and got them to display on the mixing page. I added a button to start the mixing process, and I made a mini game for when you mix the batter. Inspired by the mini game from the original project, I made a game where you have to click at a certain time to increase the value of the bake based on where a spinning spoon is on a colour-coded wheel. But of course there still needs to be a system to buy these ingredients, so I went to the computer screen and set it up so that the ingredients appear on the computer screen and that when you mouse over them it displays how many you buy in one batch and the cost. I set it up so that clicking an icon if you can afford the item makes the purchase. I then of course had to create UI to display how much money you have. I decided to then go through and make the art for all the extra ingredients. There are 8 additional ingredients in all, and I added these onto the computer shop page, which involved needing to create the ability to scroll through the pages. I also added these ingredients to the mixing bowl screen. For these you don't need to add them to the mix, so I made it so that if they're in the batter, the icons sway slightly back and forth. I then wrapped this screen up with a few polish elements such as a button to automatically take you to the correct page if you've already made the batter and therefore no longer need to be on this screen. I then moved on to the baking page, creating the art for the oven in an empty state, a state with the bowl waiting to start baking, and an animation for when the baking is underway. The muffins bake on a timer, and the more ingredients you add to the batter, the more time it takes to bake. I created some UI to display how much time is left. It's based off of the smooth health bar UI that I've used in several projects before, except it's in a circle shape and not a bar. But I then moved on to the decorations page. I created a lot of UI titles for the different types of decoration, buttons to choose the different types of frosting, and a button to signify when you're done with your selections. The different frostings will require certain ingredients to add, and you can only add toppings to a frosted muffin. To create a sense of progression, I wanted to make it so that certain ingredient combinations will unlock recipes. If your muffin falls under a certain recipe, it earns a little bit extra per bake. I created UI for each recipe, added all the information needed for each recipe to a list, and set it up so that you can unlock new recipes, which causes the UI icon to briefly appear on the screen. I wanted to add a bit more to the computer page, so I created a menu that can take you to 3 different pages on the computer. One of these pages is of course the shop, but I had to code in the other 2. In the original game there is a Flappy Bird mini game, and this is actually a really good idea as having an extra way to earn some money prevents the player from soft locking themselves by spending all their money on a single ingredient instead of at least getting the 4 basic that you need to make the plain batter. So I stole the idea and added a Flappy Bird mini game to the computer. Tying the idea of automation that you get from the title Auto Muff, I decided to make it so that once you've unlocked a recipe, you can earn a certain amount of money through automatically producing that muffin. It's not the amount you'd earn if you actually made the muffin from scratch, like through the gameplay, but it's better than nothing and kind of adds like an idle game element to the project. For this I needed to make an icon for each recipe, and clicking an unlocked icon will begin the auto production process. I made a basic title screen for the game with a play button, and then I moved on to the audio portion of the game. I made a basic backing track in Soundtrap, and then I went through and added all the sound effects to punctuate button presses and interactions, etc., just to make everything a little bit more satisfying. So from this to this. That's how I remade Auto Muff by Ricky C65. But apart from that, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe if you did. It lets me know that this is something you want to see more of. Join the Discord or submit your own project, both linked down below. And I'll see you soon with another video. Bye!